Well, hey, and thanks for joining me for another episode of the Full Frontal Living podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube, you notice that I am sitting on the floor here. Probably not the cleanest thing to do. However, I wanted some natural light from my hotel room in Boston because I'm traveling. Forgot my mic, so we're just doing this with the computer audio. So if the audio is a little crap this week, that's why, but I was more committed to making sure that I put a podcast episode out than I was worrying about the perfect background or the perfect sound. So if you've been hanging out with me for any length of time, you know that I am here to model a way that isn't about being perfect, that's about keeping it real and freeing ourselves so we can live extraordinary lives that we're consciously creating. And I don't have time for all the BS that so many of us can get into about how we believe things should be. And that's really what I wanted to talk to you today, is what happens when you're operating from that place of should, must, can't, those type of, what do I want to call them? Like thought patterns, right? I should do this. I must do this. I can't do this. I have to do this. And how those can keep you trapped. Because in essence, everything you do, you always have choice. Yet so often we forget that we have choice. So in saying that, I wanted to share kind of some reflections from my trip and some of the things that I am allowing myself to step into and enjoy and challenge myself with. Look, now the sun's going to come out and it's going to blind me. Oh, but it feels so good. By the way, for any of you who are listening and are in Boston, what a absolutely stunning city. It's not someplace I would have actually chosen to come to. It just happened to be a landing spot on my way to Maine. And wow, have I ever enjoyed it here. It's so spectacular. I have immensely enjoyed getting lost, which it's really hard to get lost here because every time I try and get lost, I end up back at my hotel. It just kind of kept looping me around. But the cobblestone streets, the old architecture, the history, it's just such a beautiful part of the world. So for anybody listening, if you ever get a chance to come to Boston, please come and check it out. It really, truly is a beautiful city. So back to choice. So as you know, one of the massive pillars that I coach on and speak about in my business for all the men and women I work with is this foundation around our physical well-being. So how we think and feel about our bodies, how we treat our bodies, because as you've probably heard me say, things we love and value, we take care of. And so often when people come to work with me, they want to value their health in a bigger way, but they don't know how, they don't know where to start. And they're living outside of that value of good health. And the truth is you cannot be a peak performer. You cannot show up in a powerful way at the highest level of your leadership if you are not caring for your physical body, because this is the vehicle that you get to show up and do life in. So I'm going to just shift here a little bit. Oh, that's better. I love the sun, but it was blinding me. Apologies if you're just listening on the podcast and you're not getting a visual of this. Anyways, so the foundation is we want to be working from taking really, really great care of ourselves. And, you know, for me, it's very habitual. It's part of my identity. It's who I am. I exercise regularly. I eat well. I've been doing this for years. Now, because I am also a professional athlete and I live at a very high standard for myself when it comes to eating and training. I personally track my macros. I weigh and measure my food because I am looking to create very specific results. And bodybuilding as a sport is very much like baking a cake. You cannot just wing baking a cake because you're going to end up with just a puddle of goo. You have to have the right proportions of everything to create results you want. And this is true also in business. If you want to create a successful business, there are systems and processes that you are going to need to implement. So you might be able to wing it for a certain amount of time when you're getting off the ground. Most of us as entrepreneurs or even career-driven professionals, we all kind of started not knowing what we were doing, but eventually we have to create habits, routines, behavior, system, processes behind that in order to get to that next level of success. And the same is true around your health. So in saying that, though, it is also so important that for me personally, I am always looking at, where am I putting myself in a box? Where might I be getting into this either or thinking instead of both and? And living in this space of both and ultimate choice can be somewhat dysregulating, because we as humans love consistency. We love certainty, even though there is nothing certain in our lives. This is why we create habits and routines, because they make us feel safe and secure. However, they can also stop us from growing. So let me explain here. If you were just starting out on your fitness journey and you are wanting to lose weight, tone your body, whatever your goal is, right? Doesn't matter what the goal is. You may have to learn new routines, habits, behaviors to support you achieving the outcome you want. It might be making sure you get to the gym however many times a week and looking at your nutrition in a different way. And this is stuff that I help people lay the foundations of. The discomfort comes from letting go of the box that you've been living in, which is maybe making excuses, having a tantrum about having to eat healthy, which many people get into because so many people have attached food to love and they feel like they're depriving themselves if they eat healthy. So there's a lot of different beliefs and shifts that need to happen in order for you to step into becoming a healthier person. You have to challenge your current trains of thought and, as I said, beliefs, habits, all of it. So for many people, they really need to stick to those habits for a significant amount of time until they have so embodied those habits, those ways of being, that there is no other way. So in my business, as an example, because I've been weight training and taking care of myself like this for like decades. I'm turning 51. I started weight training when I graduated high school, so it's a lot of years. In my business, however, I used to always work from this place of massive urgency, chasing, pushing, forcing, driving. And I had to learn to slow down. I had to learn how to do less. I had to learn how to prioritize rest. And it took me a significant amount of time of practicing those behaviors for me to embody this entrepreneur who has a great deal of balance in her life. I know when to push, I know when to pull back, I know when I need to put my foot on the gas, and I also know when I need to like chill out, go for a walk, rest, play, and all of that stuff. I've come to trust myself living in the place of both and. It's not either or. It's not working hard or I'm lazy on the couch. I get to be both. I get to put in consistent, committed work to create results, and I get to rest and play. And that's actually part of the strategy around success. I don't have to do anything. There's nothing I should do. And I have to really always be mindful of those stories. Always be mindful of those stories. Now, in this case, getting a podcast out every week is a commitment that I've made. Do I have to? Nope. Could I have made the decision to not? Absolutely. But it mattered to me. So I'm sitting here and I'm recording this podcast because I know somebody out there listening needs to hear this. Maybe it's you. So let me go back to some of the things that I'm playing with for me personally on this trip, going back to the fact of this is how I live my lifestyle. I weigh and measure my food. I get to the gym. Now, I had made the decision that this was going to be an off week for me from the gym. We call them a deload week. Now, some people, for them, that means that they lift less weights. Their workouts are shorter. For me personally, it means I just don't go to the gym at all. And I don't make it mean anything because my identity is somebody who exercises regularly. Do you really think that me taking a week off is going to change who I am at a core identity level? Probably not. Now, what's actually happened is I have a lovely hotel room gym. I have been feeling, I called it anxious energy, but I actually think it's excitement because I'm going to be meeting a bunch of new people. And going to the gym felt really nurturing. I didn't drive, I didn't push. And I also realized that I'm traveling again in November, where I am truly going to need to have a full week off. So I've made the decision to still continue to train, and I'm going to be staying with a friend who also trains regularly, and it's going to be fun to work out with her. So I had this plan in my head that I wasn't going to train, and then I had to be willing to say, Lisa, can you let that go and just like go with the flow here, right? Doesn't need to be structured workouts. And I even told my coach, please don't program anything because I just want to have fun and play with my workouts this week. I'm not getting into my head like, oh, I'm ruining my results because I'm doing this. No, I'm just allowing myself to step outside of that box. Should, must, have to, can't. So coming back to my nutrition. Now, normally when I travel, I'm pretty on top of, I bring a lot of food with me. I bring a lot of prep stuff with me. And this time I made the decision to just let go. So again, I'm not taking a break from my lifestyle. You don't take a break from brushing your teeth. I'm not taking a break from my lifestyle. I'm simply taking a break from weighing, measuring, organizing, prepping my food. I have been living this way for a very long time. So even though I'm not weighing, measuring, and tracking my food, nothing really changes for me. I still make the same choices that I would make if I was weighing and measuring. I'm just not being as accurate. For some of you, you need to learn how to really manage your nutrition, and you're not at the place yet where you can just wing it. For some of you, you need to step into allowing yourself to intuitively eat instead of gripping to everything so tightly. The point of this conversation is I want you to be curious about what boxes you're putting yourself in where you're taking away your choice by believing you have no choice. And you always have choice. And I always want to be challenging the choices that I'm making. And I love challenging the choices that my clients are making. Even right now, I'm so habitual about getting up in the morning and going to the gym at the crack of dawn. And I'm realizing I don't need to do that every day. My schedule is different now. I can wake up later. And that has been so uncomfortable for me to wake up later. A simple thing like waking up later has really like dysregulated me in some ways. But that is the point of life, is we don't always want to be comfortable. We want to be willing to challenge ourselves to see what else is there. By going to the gym later, it allows me to get more sleep, which is one of my values, rest. By not weighing and measuring my food, it lets me sink deeper into that self-trust and knowing that I'm totally fine even if I don't track stuff. The same is true in my business. If I take a week where I'm like, you know what? I don't want to follow our systems and processes. I want to put our podcast out on Friday and I want to record from my floor instead of my office. It doesn't matter. Nothing bad will happen. And when you look at these stories around must, should, can't, have to, what you're going to want to be curious about is what is the story you're telling yourself on the other side of that? If you must do this thing, what do you believe will happen on the other side of that if you don't? If you can't do this thing, what is the story you're telling yourself about why you can't? And what makes that true? We so badly want rules to follow, at least my clients. They so badly want rules to follow because they are high achievers, they are A-type, they want to get it right. But what would be possible for you if you realized that you can't get it right and you can never get it wrong and everything is always going to work out for you? Because with every choice you make, even if it ends up being a quote unquote wrong choice, it is going to lead you to the next choice that you need to make, and you always get to make another choice. I guarantee you, after a week of not weighing, measuring, tracking my food, I am going to be so lit up to be back in the pocket of that, because I truly love how it makes me feel. I truly love the freedom that it gives me. And I'm baking a cake here, people. Like, I am looking for very specific results, which means I have to stay in the pocket of that plan. But again, right? Like choice, flexibility, all of those things are so, so important. I understand that my message is often quite polarizing, because I am asking you to hold space for both. I'm asking you to hold space for knowing that different things, two different things can be true at the same time. And for so many of you, that creates so much dissonance, right? That uncomfortable feeling. And we just want to know the way. And I'm going to challenge you to continue to look at your life, to look at the choices you're making or you're not making. Allow yourself to step outside that comfort zone, right? For you, it might be maybe you believe that you have to wear makeup every day. Well, what would it look like if you just gave yourself permission to not? So freeing for me when I decided I could make videos without makeup on and sweaty and messy out of the gym, right? And at the same time, I love to get myself dressed up and done up and lashes on, and it can be both and. And that's the boat in the background honking the universe, confirming what I am saying. So on that note, I am going to enjoy the rest of my trip in Boston. If you are not following along on Instagram, please make sure you follow me, Lisa Carpenter Inc. I usually share daily in my stories, just kind of little nuggets of wisdom. I love bringing you guys on the inside of my life and sharing really honestly about what it's like, because so many of you have these preconceived notions about what success looks like, or to achieve this outcome, it has to be, X, Y, and Z. And I am here to really disrupt the narrative and let you in behind the scenes of what it looks like to be a fit, healthy woman over 50, what it looks like to be a successful, driven entrepreneur who also prioritizes and values rest, and what it means to be 100% responsible for your relationship with your physical body, your relationship with your emotional self. So these are all your thoughts, behaviors, patterns that you get into, and what it looks like to take responsibility for the environment around you. That's other people, places, and things, and how you're showing up within them. I want to take you from being an overwhelmed, overbusy, overdoer who's lacking fulfillment, joy, and balance in your life, into somebody who is very consciously curating and creating an extraordinary life. I know you've worked so hard to get to where you are, but what got you here isn't going to be what gets you to what you truly desire. And if that is more joy, fulfillment, peace, good health, you're going to have to start looking outside of the box you've put yourself in and consider what other choices are available to you. And if you think you can't, you're already stuck in your stories. So you're probably going to want to send me a DM. The collective is open for enrollment. This is really my high-level one-to-one coaching container that also contains, I use container a lot there. It also invites you into a group call, a collective call, where all my one-to-one clients come together and we discuss high-level topics, and we create this social learning where you get to understand you're not some special snowflake. So although you are, all of the women that I work with have very like experiences and very similar stories and beliefs that are driving them. And we unpack things like perfectionism and overdoing, and our stories around rest and performance and overgiving and overcaring and caring for ourselves. They are powerful. And then you pair that with very intimate deep dives specifically into what is keeping you stuck and what is holding you back and your stories. And your life will never be the same. This work takes time. It is deep. It is intimate. It is not for everybody. But if this sounds like you, if you are ready to create your extraordinary life that feels aligned and rewarding and fulfilling, you're going to want to make sure that you get on the list. So you can sign up at lisacarpenter.ca/collective. I will be personally reaching out to you and booking you a call on my calendar so that we can see if you are, in fact, a great fit for working with me. All right. So have a beautiful afternoon or morning or evening, wherever you are in the world. Make sure you get out and live your life. So if life is living you today, I want you to make you a priority and really get out there and think about what you want and what it looks like for you to live your life fully. Remember, nobody is going to make you a priority. Nobody is coming to save you. You are your responsibility. So take good care of you, and I'll catch you on the next episode.